Welcome to the Growth Gyms podcast, where we believe that growth is a journey, not a destination. This podcast is designed to empower you with the necessary tools to unlock your full potential and develop yourself, both personally and professionally. We provide insightful conversations and share inspiring stories that will help you grow emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and socially. Our goal is to create a community of like-minded individuals who are on a journey of self-improvement and help you live a more fulfilling life. We aim to equip you with resources, strategies, and growth gems that you can apply in your daily life to achieve your goals and reach your full potential. So, get ready to embark on a journey of transformation and join us in discovering the power of growth.
Hello, everybody. I am your host, Chris Briggs. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode. I hope that you are doing well. We know growth is a journey and not a destination. Hey, thank you so much to all our listeners again for you coming and joining us on this growth journey. Please share this with your family and friends. I need you to subscribe. I need you to share it. I need you to get these episodes out so we can expand and continue to move forward on this growth journey. All right, today we have a great episode, and I need you to do what we do every week. Get our pen and paper out. There are some great growth gems I want to share with you today. Today, our title of our episode is Growing in Grace. And I discovered that on the growth journey, sometimes we can be too hard on ourselves. And when we talk about growing in grace, we're not talking about just extending grace to individuals. But today I want to talk about spending and expanding and extending grace to yourself, especially when you're in the process of learning and evolving and becoming. Sometimes we can be our own worst critics. And growing is not a straight line. It's not on a straight path, but it's full of bumps, detours, and even mistakes. It's not a straight line. It comes with curves, bumps, bruises. I heard Steve Harvey says one time, he said that the road, the path of life, it's always under construction. And that's how life is. While you're growing, the path of life is always on construction. There's always growth taking place. There's always things happening for life to evolve and becoming. And so I want you to make sure that you have grace on yourself. Give yourself grace. You don't wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm going to mess up or I'm going to do something wrong. But the truth is mistakes are a part of the journey. They are a part of the journey, and you have to be okay with making mistakes. And your mistakes don't define you unless you let them. Your mistakes do not define who you are. We all have made mistakes, but that is when grace comes in your life and you realize, hey, I need grace in my life. I got to be gracious to myself. I can't beat myself up. You got to give yourself room. And here goes a growth gem. I want to, as your life expand, you got to make room for failure, learning, and keep going. You got to make room for those failures in your life. It was Thomas Edison that says, I didn't fail when he was making the light bulb. Do you know it took 24 hours to make one light bulb, and it took over 1,000 pieces to make one light bulb? And he says, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I just found 1,000 times that didn't work. Because if he had never gone through those many times, he would have never been able to construct and put together the light bulb. So it's all about embracing the process, embracing and making room for failure and for learning. That I'm giving myself grace that I didn't fail, but I'm learning how to move and keep moving forward. Because when you don't extend grace to yourself, this is what will happen to you. You will find yourself becoming stuck. because you're always trying to accomplish something. And when I say something, you're always trying to accomplish something, or trying to have trying to reach a goal that you may not be able to reach the way you think you should reach it. So sometimes we have to give grace to ourselves. All right. Here goes the first growth gem, y'all. You got your pen and paper out? Here goes the first growth gem. That mistakes are a part of the process. Mistakes are a part of the process. Do you know how many mistakes I've made just with this podcast? Do you know how many mistakes I've made just in recording this episode? Do you know how many times I stopped, start? How many times I've said the wrong thing and I had to go back and start over? I mean, yes, we have editing, and yes, we have, we do those, but just to get the episode kicked off right. Do you know how many times I had to start? I mean, it's a part of the process. At first, you're going to be frustrated because in your mind is telling you one thing, but the way it is being processed in your mind is not how you perceive it. Okay, are you getting what I'm saying? How you perceive it, and your mind is not connecting, and so it becomes frustrating. And so mistakes are a part of the process as you're growing. And then you become frustrated with yourself, and you beat yourself up. You be like, "How could I mess up?" Or "I thought I knew better." Man, you know how many mistakes in life I've made? With relationships, being married, multiple times, just mistakes in life, doing things I didn't have no business doing. And only by the grace of God and wisdom and wising and maturing that I've given myself grace. And I want to encourage somebody, give yourself grace. Yes, you've made some mistakes. Yes, you have fallen. Yes, you have done it. But pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going and growing. It's a lot of times we fail to give ourselves grace, and we become frustrated because of our self expectations. We have self expectations. We are expecting ourselves to be perfect in the process, but it's not about you. You will never be perfect. You're not going to be perfect. So quit expecting you to be perfect. You're not perfect. And people are, and can I say this? You will never live up to people's expectations. You'll never live up to people's thoughts and opinions about you. So quit trying to live up to their thoughts and their opinions about you. Have grace on yourself. I'm human. I'm human. I'm an individual, and I'm not perfect. Don't make yourself feel bad because you're not reaching your own expectations, or neither are you reaching others' expectations. Here goes the second growth gem, y'all. You got to give yourself grace to grow. The key to growing with grace is acknowledging that you're human. There is no such thing as a flawless journey. Real growth doesn't happen in the absence of mistakes. Did you get that? Real growth doesn't happen in the absence of mistakes. Let me go a little farther. It takes the dung, which is cow maneuver, which is mess. The mess of an animal is used to help grow. Dung is used to help, is a fertilizer to help something grow. So the mistakes that you have in your life is the dung in your life to help you grow. It happens when you learn from those mistakes. It's when you learn to to dust yourself off like I first stated and keep going. Grace isn't just about, hear me, about the passive in the face of failure. It's about letting yourself off. It's not about even letting yourself off the hook. It's about actively choosing to learn from the mistakes. Here it goes, y'all. Because when I'm gracious to myself and I extend grace to me, I just don't overlook over the mistakes, but I actively choose to learn from it. Now, let me say this. What is a mistake? And you have to understand what's the difference between a mistake and a habit. Because a mistake is something that's not done frequently. A habit is something that's done frequently. So, which means that y'all, I'm about to tell on myself. There was an issue between me and my wife, and I would tell her, baby, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. And my wife had to tell me, baby, how many mistakes you gonna make? That's not mistakes. You're dealing with a habitual act. It's a habit. So you got to discover, am I really making mistakes or am I really practicing a habit? That's good. That's a good question to put in your notes. Am I practicing a mistake or am I practicing a habit? Whichever one you are doing, what I need you to do is to discover which one. Then there is some adjustment that needs to be made. That you need to make an adjustment, because what profit you to acknowledge, but then don't adhere to the change of the course without adjusting. You acknowledge without adjusting. You can't do. You acknowledge there, but then if you don't adjust, you'll go back to doing the same thing. So the thing is, what you got to do is that in your mind, the mindset says, I'm not perfect, but I'm in progress. I'm progressing. I'm progressing. This is what we have to understand is that one thing that I've learned over the years is that you don't have to be perfect to be effective. And that's what I want to tell somebody. You don't have to be perfect to be effective. In fact, sometimes your imperfection makes you relatable. See, you can relate to individuals. You can relate. You can relate to people because you've been where they are. You ever heard people say, "I've been where you are"? Now, I'm going to get a little controversial here. I'm going to get real controversial here because the thing is this, is that you may been where I am, where I've been, or you may been where I am right now, but this is the thing that bothers me. People tell you, I know how you feel. Now that is the controversy that I want to talk about, because yes, you may been where I am, but you may not have the emotional. It may not have had the same emotional effect on you that it has had on me. Sometimes it make you relatable, it make you connect with others, but then it makes you more compassionate towards yourself. And I want to say this too, is that sometimes when we make mistakes and we fall into the trap of wallowing in what we have done and what we are dealing with, I want to say this, is that sometimes we make mistakes, but sometimes we get amnesia and we forget about the mistakes we've made. And I don't never want you to forget where you come from. I never want you to forget where you have been. I never want you to forget what you have conquered. I never want you to forget those things. I never want you to lose sight of those things that you have been through. Because sometimes we become arrogant, we become egotistical, we become very prideful, and we look down our nose on people who have made mistakes, on people who have done things that may go against our ethics, that may go against our beliefs, that may go against our standards. But whatever they have done, we always have to remember we may not have done what they have done, but we always have to remember we've done something. You have done something. So somebody gave you grace, and you have given yourself grace. So on this growth journey, we have to give ourselves grace, and also we have to give each other grace. And I know that's really, that's hard for many, because we have our own expectations. We have our own standards. But here goes the third one, you all, the growth gem. The power of grace in personal growth. When you grow with grace, we give ourselves permission to be human. But then we stop beating ourselves up. We stop beating ourselves up, church. And I said church because I feel like I'm preaching. Am I preaching to the choir? Because sometimes we got to stop beating ourselves up when things go wrong. Instead, we should take time to reflect and ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? What can I do better next time? Now, here goes 3 tips three tips I want to look at, and we're going to wrap this episode up. Here go 3 tips that's going to help you deal with you and growing in grace. Here go 3 practical tips that are going to help you. First one, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Because when you make a mistake, resist the urge of beating yourself up. Acknowledge the mistake, make adjustments, learn from it, make the adjustments, and move forward. Treat yourself, and here it goes. This is what you got to learn, how to treat yourself like you treat others. Because you're so easy to extend grace to others, but you don't extend grace to yourself. And I think that's so backwards. It's like you offer encouragement, understanding, and support to other people, but when it's your time for you, you beat yourself up. And then you find yourself becoming angry, frustrated, mad, because you are not finding what you extend, but you got to give it to yourself. But then, here go the second tip, y'all. You got to embrace the process. Growth is not a sprint. It's a marathon. Remember when I say growth is a journey? That's what this episode is about on Growth Gems. Growth is a journey and not a destination. It's a journey. You're constantly going. You're constantly growing. When you stop growing, your life is over. I don't care how old you are, how long you've been living, how educated you are, there is always room for improvement and for growth. And there will be times when you feel like you're stuck. But remember, every step forward, even small ones, is progress. Trust the process and give yourself permission to evolve. Give yourself permission to evolve. Give grace to yourself. But be gracious to yourself. But then here goes the last tip. You got to reflect and adapt. After you make a mistake, remember what we said. You got to take time to reflect on what happened and why it happened. And what could I have done differently? And what can I learn from this? What is it that you have gone through? What is it in life that you have been through that you can say, hey, I'm glad I went through that because I learned this? You're no good to no one if you can't take the storms and the tests of life and the failures of life and the mistakes of life and use them, and you hadn't gleaned or grown or even learn nothing from. What good what good? And the repetitiveness of you going through those things is because you hadn't learned. It's because you hadn't taken time to get to learn and learn from them, from the mistakes you have done. Growth is about understanding the adaptability. It's about understanding what went wrong and making the necessary adjustments for the future. That's what we got to understand when we're growing in grace. Grow in grace. Give yourself room to make mistakes. I don't know who may be listening to this episode, where you may be in your life right now, but please give yourself room to make mistakes. You're not perfect. You wasn't born perfect. You're not going to be perfect. And life is not going to be perfect. This growth journey is not going to be perfect. So give yourself room to grow. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back in the race. Let's keep growing. That's what I need you to do. That if you can do that, forgive, move on. You made the mistake. Hey, you did it. Don't run with regret. Hear me. Don't run this race. Don't run the race or be on the growth journey with regret. Hey, you did it, and I had to learn that in life, because yes, my wife forgave me. Yes, there was some stuff, some infidelity between me and my wife, some stuff that happened. And yes, my wife forgave me. But did I really forgive myself? Did I stay married to my wife with regret? And it's not the fact that she made me feel any way or held it over my head. It's because I didn't give grace to myself. I disappointed myself. I made myself feel bad. And in doing that, man, I beat myself up. I beat, and my wife had good intentions, and it could be something, and I'm being very transparent because I want to help somebody. You're going to make mistakes. You're not perfect. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be angry at yourself, because I did it. Man, and it wore me down. I couldn't really love her because I wasn't loving myself. I couldn't love my family. I couldn't be the father that my children needed me to be. I couldn't be the husband she needed me to be because I was beating myself up and not knowing that I was evolving. I was growing. And now when I look back years later, I'm like, man, I'm glad I went through that. After being divorced, you look back and like, man, I'm glad I went through that. Because if I had never gone through that, I wouldn't be who I am. People ask me, if you could change anything in life, would you change it? And my answer is no. And people are like, well, hold on, you wouldn't know. Why wouldn't I? I wouldn't change my past, because if I never had gone through my past, I wouldn't be who I am presently. So I don't regret none of it. I'm not angry about it. I'm grateful for it, because it made me who I am. I made me who I am. But I had to give myself grace. You're not perfect. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna beat yourself up. Don't do that. All right? The next time you stumble, remember, it's a part of the journey. Embrace it, learn from it, and most importantly, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace to make mistakes. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining this episode of the Growth Gym Podcast. Thank you for tuning in today. I need you to share this, subscribe to our podcast. I would love to hear from you at growthgymspodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's growthgymspodcast@gmail.com. I'll catch you next time. Until then, keep growing, keep learning, and keep extending grace to yourself. This has been your host, Chris Briggs. Thank you.
Welcome to the Growth Gyms Podcast. I'm so grateful to have you here with us today. I truly hope that you've enjoyed and learned something valuable from today's episode. Our goal is to provide you with the insights and inspiration you need to supercharge your growth journey, whether it's in your personal or professional life. As you know, growth is a never-ending adventure. It's a journey filled with ups and downs, triumphs and challenges. But it's those very challenges that help us grow and become better versions of ourselves. So, no matter where you are in your growth journey, keep pushing forward, keep learning, and keep growing. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on future episodes. We have some amazing topics lined up that I know you won't want to miss. Also, follow us on social media. Facebook, Chris Briggs. Twitter at CABriggsSR. Instagram at CABriggsSR. Thank you for tuning in today, and I can't wait to see you again on our next episode of the Growth Gems Podcast.